Soma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to boxing, real quick, y'all know that U.S. Open is popping off in the world of tennis. Now, it's a GOAT watch. And a GOAT watch doesn't matter what sport it is. If you're a sports fan, you care about GOATs. And in the U.S. Open right now, if Novak Djokovic wins it, he has 21 Grand Slams, which means he's officially the GOAT. Not a happy day for me because I'm a Roger Federer fan, which means I want Roger Federer to be the GOAT. But the argument against Roger Federer is already there with Rafael Nadal because Rafael Nadal has the head-to-head against Roger Federer, even though they both have 20 Grand Slams, which is ridiculous. But Novak Djokovic has 20 as well, and he's in the semifinal of the U.S. Open. And if he wins, not only, right, has he got 21 Grand Slams and he's the GOAT, he would have achieved the calendar Grand Slam, meaning winning all 4 of the Grand Slams in 1 year. That's worth mentioning, even in a damn boxing video. Now let's go to boxing. We're talking about the heavyweight champion of the world, baby. Tyson Fury is the heavyweight champion of the world, WBC style. Anthony Joshua got the other 3 belts that matter, at least, right? So Tyson Fury, right, is slated to fight Deontay Wilder on October the 9th, former WBC champ. I don't think the fight's happening. My reasoning is because of what I've seen up until now. I would be an idiot to believe that Tyson Fury, who I've been watching forever and who I've been saying here, one word for him is whatever, right? I've been saying that for years because even before the Deontay Wilder saga, the guy is just out there, right? The screws are not screwed on tight. It's not a bad thing when you're a boxer, right? It's not a bad thing. Your screws don't need to be tight. They've been knocked loose. That's okay. He's weird. He's crazy. He's nuts. But now he's nuts with the people behind him that don't even care about the rule of law. And if he follows the rules, that's when it goes a little bit too far. But before this fight against Deontay Wilder, which I don't think is going to happen, like I'm telling you again, I don't think the fight's going to happen. Something else is going to happen. Well, Tyson Fury is doing the things that his fans like. He'd like him to just be off the rails and just saying things. What he said of late is, hey, look, after I beat up Deontay Wilder, he's not a threat to me at all, which is totally contrary to what his father was just saying a month ago, that they'll, throw the belt in the bin. Remember that? Throw the belt in the bin instead of fighting Deontay Wilder. We might not be ready for Deontay Wilder, but in the same sentence or the same paragraph at least, saying that they're ready for Anthony Joshua. What is that telling you? Right? That's what's been said. But right now, Deontay Wilder's not a threat. He wanted Anthony Joshua in December. He's checked that. I can't get Anthony Joshua in December. That probably can't happen. Now I'll take Dillian White in December. And then I'll take Chisora after that. And then Anthony Joshua after that. That's what he's planning. He's looking past Deontay Wilder, which he isn't. But this is what he's saying. Now, remember what I've told you guys. The people, nobody was really disappointed with Tyson Fury calling out getting out of the July 24th fight with Deontay Wilder, right? Most people were just okay with that. Even when he said COVID, he never had to prove it, right? Errol Spence had to prove that his eye socket, that he had a torn retina, but he didn't have to prove that he had COVID at all. And even though we had conflicting reports of outbreak in his camp, which means pretty much everybody, and then it ended up that nobody had it. And definitely nobody proved it. So, and then they just let that go, along with all the other stuff they let go with Tyson Fury, right? We could talk about gloves. We could talk about doping, of different types of doping, right? Lying, dealing with a mob boss. I don't even know where to go. What was the Martin Carefoot thing, the 70-year-old farmer about the wild boar. It's so much stuff with Tyson Fury that people are ignoring it, and he's gotten to the point where they just like the fact that he says overt, ridiculous things. It's the Donald Trump thing. Donald Trump is a criminal, and everybody he hired to work for him are criminals, right? Criminals. He has to pardon, and he's pardoning who he pardoned only criminals. So they love the criminal stuff, right? As long as you say overt things, and we know what we're talking about. I'm just gonna try to don't mention it, but as long as it's overt, they're going to sit back and love it. And they like the banter that Tyson Fury does before the fights. Most Tyson Fury fans do not want to see him fight Deontay Wilder in October, and they'll be okay if he doesn't, so we can continue to keep talking. But At the end of the day, if he doesn't fight Deontay Wilder in October, I think he needs to be stripped. Just like Eddie Hearn thinks he needs to be stripped, right? Because we ain't got time to be dealing with him. He has never had a title defense. He just always has shenanigans, and it's just, it's like for murderers murdered a whole bunch of time, we keep letting them go through. It's like this guy has done these things. This is normal. It's just not normal for America, and America is just a racist place, so it fits there. And no one will ever ask him anything. The mainstream media will never say anything about Tyson Fury. They like him being the champion. They had an anniversary of him beating Deontay Wilder. So that is what that is. Let's see what happens if I'm wrong about him fighting him on October the 9th. Maybe I am. Let's see what happens, right? But when it comes to Deontay Wilder, I've said a lot of times, I don't really like, that he is showing a lot of footage of him training. That's why I'm not saying anything about it. I wish he wouldn't, right? It's none of nobody's business. We know this. Deontay Wilder's diligent. He's dedicated, and he's going to be handling his business to fight that fight. We know that Deontay Wilder is not trying to damn the WBC belt. I don't think he really cares about that belt. He knows what time it is with that belt, right? Seeing as what that belt is doing with Canelo and others, right? And the franchise title and things like that the WBC belt is all about. I don't think Deontay Wilder is really interested in that belt. It's about beating Tyson Fury and maybe becoming undisputed, but it's not about that belt for him. I totally doubt it, because Deontay Wilder knows what time it is. It's not like a dude like me talking this stuff. Deontay Wilder, everything I say about Deontay Wilder has been right? And I'm not in this camp. I'm not going to talk to the man. It's just common damn sense. I know Deontay Wilder don't care about that damn WBC belt no more. It's about I'm beating Tyson Fury and see what the media is going to say about it. Are they going to even cover it? They'll probably figure out a way not to even cover the damn fight all of a sudden if Deontay Wilder wins. Let's be honest. That's what's going down. They didn't cover nothing else except Deontay Wilder saying that his suit might have been too heavy. That's all they covered. Nothing else. All that other juicy stuff we were talking about, the gloves, and we seen gloves flopping all around. We had sparring partners talking about it, and all this other stuff. Even that, other fights. Woo! We didn't revisit the Christian Hammer fight. We didn't revisit the John McDermott fight. Nobody invited John McDermott to come to their show to explain what happened to him. Because you know why? Because it's the same thing that happened to him as happened to Deontay Wilder. That's why. So they just omit that. Right? So I don't take him serious. I'll be honest. But anyway, another legend. Let's talk about him. Ivana Hollyfield about to have a fight with somebody, man. Whatever. The dude who Oscar De La Hoya was going to fight, and Oscar De La Hoya got COVID. And, some people don't believe it. Yeah, he was about to fight an ex-MMA fighter or a UFC fighter or whatever. I forget the guy's name. Ivana Holyfield's coming back to fight him at 58 years old. I don't think that should happen, but whatever. The only thing I told you about Holyfield is him and Mike Tyson, I would care about that. Any other thing, I really don't, right? And I wish that they would have headgear, right? That would make me feel a little bit easier about these guys, right? But Deontay Wilder Ivana Hollyfield gave Deontay Wilder some advice. And his advice, listen, don't be changing your style for Fury. You started boxing late. You've perfected that one style. It's got you the way you got. You've been knocking dudes out. Don't change much, right? And his point is, if you change too much, you're going to start thinking. Right? And I think he's right about that. I think basically don't change much because it's a myth, right, for people to say Deontay Wilder's a one-trick pony. Let him keep saying that. Because I watched him jab people into submission like Chris Arreola. We've seen that he doesn't get tired. He doesn't have a stamina issue. He takes his power late in the fights. Those are attributes, and those are skills, actually. You're still dangerous to the end of the fight. A lot of people aren't. That's some stuff, right? You're agile enough, and you're big, long enough to actually be able to just outbox for a while until you land the right hand. All you got to do is don't telegraph the right hand. That's basically it. Just don't telegraph it. In that first fight with Fury, he was just basically at that point had knocked everybody out, and he didn't realize you can get punched in your face a lot too, right? And so you're going to have to do something, right, with a guy who can move. You ain't go just because the right hand is fast doesn't mean it's going to hit Fury. He's 2 inches taller, and he knows how to lean back, and he's a defensive-oriented fighter. So therefore, change your game plan up a bit, right? Use your jab a lot, and don't fall behind on points. And forget, if you never land the right hand, you should still be able to win the fight. That's the only thing I'll be asking Deontay Wilder to do. If you can't land the right hand the whole fight, flush. then you should still be able to win the fight with the other attributes that you have. Other than that, I wouldn't change my game plan. I think Ivana Hollyfield has a point here. I'll put what Ivana Hollyfield said in the description box. Y'all check it out. I don't think Wilder needs to be changing too much. I do see him. What he's working on is great things. And my point is, since he's been out for a long time, that's different than just one training camp. For example, let me give you an example where Holyfield would be right. When Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury had that draw, and if they would have fought immediately, then this might not be a good thing for Deontay Wilder to be thinking about these different things. But the fact that it's 2 years between a damn fight, I think some of these things can turn into muscle memory. The head movements, the body shots on the way out when you come up in. Maybe he needs to be thinking about on inside fighting. If you're not going to fight, you better hold and push off and get up out of there. If not, you fight on the inside. Go to Andre Ward and figure out what Ward was up to. Because 2 years, things can be transmitted to muscle memory. Other than that, I agree with Ivana Hollyfield. My thing is, what do you guys think? Should Deontay Wilder be trying to change his tactics or just maintain what he's been doing? What you think? Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.